Highgardens, the City of Strains. Chapter 1. Pre-roll District Blues. In Highgardens, you either grow it, roll it, or die for it. The sky over Pre-roll District looked like it hit a blunt and forgot to exhale. Greenish-gray haze floated heavy above the busted rooftops, smothering the streetlights and turning the city into a slow burn. This was Highgardens. Ain't no birds chirping in this part of town. Just sirens, blunt smoke, and empty clips. On OG Cush Avenue, just past the boarded-up vape shop and the half-dead bodega, sat a broken-down dispensary called Sticky Greens. It was shuttered, tagged with glowing neon graffiti of weed leaves, and it hummed like something alive underneath. A black Crown Vic sat tucked behind it, engine low and growlin'. Inside the whip, 3 street soldiers in the game for green. Lil Nugs, scrawny, wide-eyed, twitchin' from paranoia. Sticky Trell, mid-rollin' a blunt fat as a finger, calm like death. Smacks, big, cold, cradlin' a Mac 11 in his lap like it was his girl. "Yo," Lil Nugs whispered, his fingers tapping his thigh. "This shit don't feel right. Bud don't do 5 a.m. drops." Sticky Trell sparked the blunt with a gold clipper lighter, taking a pull that fogged the windshield. "He do now," he mumbled, eyes watching the shadows. "And shut that shaky shit down, you making me paranoid." Smacks grunted. "The fuck you paranoid for? You the one rolling something with seeds in it." "Man, fuck y'all," Nugs snapped, but he kept his voice down. The alley behind Sticky Greens was too quiet, even for pre-roll. A single light buzzed above the rusted door. Fog snaked through the ground like the city itself was puffing stress. That's when they saw him. Step out the smoke like a shadow. Tall, lean, hoodie pulled low, weed smoke curling from his lips. He held a joint in one hand, the cherry burning red as hell. In the other hand, something metal glinted. "Ayo!" Lil Nugs leaned forward. "That ain't our fucking runner." Pop, pop, rat-tat-tat-tat-tat. The Crown Vic lit up. Bullets punched through glass like soda cans. Sticky Trell caught 2 to the neck, blood spraying the dash. Nugs screamed and ducked down, while Smacks tried to lift the Mac, but his shoulder exploded red. The hooded figure walked up slow, smoking like it was just another Tuesday. He leaned in the busted window. "Tell Bud smoke. North side don't sleep. We smoke early." He flicked the roach on Trell's twitching chest and vanished back into the fog. An hour later, the alley was flooded with red and blue. But ain't nobody giving no statements in Highgardens. Bud Smoke stood across the street, leaning on a light pole. Hoodie zipped, eyes cold, breath curling in the morning chill. He stared at the yellow tape stretching across his alley like a fucking insult. Mary Jane Cush pulled up behind him in her matte green Charger, eyes behind mirrored shades. "They said Trell and Smacks got zipped, Nugs in critical." Bud didn't flinch. "Where?" "Behind Sticky Greens, right at our door." Bud clenched his jaw, tongue pushing a molar he'd been grinding since last night. "They bold as fuck." Mary Jane lit a backwood laced with crumble. That wasn't a hit. That was a message. Bud looked past the alley, up the block, where the north side started peeking. "Loud pack want war? He about to get the whole strain." The block was watching, always watching. Eyes behind blinds, cameras on poles, shadows on rooftops. In Highgardens, the streets got more eyes than God. Bud knew that. That's why he didn't say shit else. Just slid into the Charger next to Mary Jane, lit a spliff dipped in hash oil, and pulled slow. The kind of hit that stick to your chest. Mary Jane pulled off like she was mad at the gas pedal. The Charger hummed low as they slid through the resin strip. "We got 3 drops missing this week," she said. "That's 3 full ounces of Gas Face and Blue Dream not making it to table. You think Loud Pack taking them?" "Nah," Bud said. "Not his style. If he wanted to jack us, he'd leave a body with a pack in their mouth. This quiet shit, that's somebody close." They passed a corner where some kids was posted outside a food truck tagged in neon, Taco 420. One of them had on a hoodie that read, "Roll slow or die." Bud took another drag. They trying to smoke us out. Mary Jane nodded. So what's the move? We bait 'em, Bud said, exhaling. Put a fake run on Zaza Lane, let 'em bite, then we cut they tongue out. Mary Jane smirked. Oh, you and your demon bag today.
Bud didn't smile. He was already thinking 3 plays ahead. That's why he still ran shit in pre-roll. That's why he wasn't in a casket like the rest of the old plugs. They turned down Doja Boulevard, headed for the grow hole. The grow hole was sacred. Tucked under a fake pawn shop called Blunt Money, the door required a retinal scan and a thumbprint, but not before Mary Jane whispered the passphrase, puff once for peace, twice for power. Doors slid open. Inside was a multi-level lab humming with grow lights, hydro tanks, and the deepest greens the city ever birthed. Rows of exotic plants shimmered with crystals. The air was so thick with terp that a sober man would catch a head rush just breathing. Bud walked past the strains, Gush Mints, Slurricane, Candy Runts, and headed straight to the back, where a locked glass case held his pride. One Hitta, Quitta Vitae 3.6. It looked like sin, purple dusted with lime hairs, glistening like wet velvet. The THC count was off the charts. Bud had been growing it in secret since he was 15, but it still wasn't perfect. Smell that? Bud asked. Mary Jane inhaled. Damn, that hit behind my fucking eyes. I'm close, Bud said. Real close. Just then, the screen on the wall blinked red. Incoming video call. Uncle Rillo. Bud hit accept. The screen filled with an old man's face, gray locks, dark shades, and a mouth full of gold. You heard what happened? Rillo rasped. Bud nodded. It's getting loud out here. You still playing scientist in your cave? I'm on V 3.6. Rillo whistled. Well, you better finish that miracle leaf fast, 'cause they closing in on your roots, nephew. Bud said nothing. Rillo leaned closer. You ever seen a roach eat a garden? No? That's 'cause real growers kill pests early. The call ended. Mary Jane sat on the steel table and crossed her legs. So who's the pest? Bud stared through the grow hole's glass walls, his mind light years ahead. Whoever touching my green without permission. Back in the streets, tension rolled heavier than the fog. Word of the morning drop gone bad was already sliding through corners and chat threads like THC in a bloodstream. By mid-afternoon, Bud had 5 missed calls from corner captains and a coded message from the Clone Rose Syndicate. Everyone smelled blood. And where there's blood in Highgardens, there's fiends with lighters. Bud pulled into Cure Alley, where a dispensary front called Blowtree Botanica sat pretty behind bulletproof glass and a digital sign flashing 420 blessings. Inside, half the crew sat round a stashed table filled with nug jars, paperwork, and 2 chrome burners chillin' on velvet coasters like royalty. Bino, Bud's short-tempered second, paced in a circle. This shit feeling too cozy, like somebody setting the table before they eat. Bud walked in without speaking. He scanned the room. Mary Jane took a seat near the back, crossing her legs, watching like a panther waiting for prey. Smacks and Trell dead, Bud said flat. Lil Nugs on life support. Damn, Bino said, rubbing his chain. Smacks? That big motherfucker was a tank. Bud nodded. Got aired out through the shoulder. Bled out and the Vic silence filled the shop. Here's what I know, Bud said, leaning on the counter. Loud Pack sent the smoke. He ain't using street hitters. This was clean, fast, and quiet. Mary Jane added, and too precise. Whoever did it ain't from around here. Bino's jaw flexed. So we light his ass up? Bud raised his hand. Not yet. He want us to wild out. That gives him leverage with Rifa. That name pulled a chill through the crew. Chief Rifa, head of the no-leaf division, a narc unit funded by corporate cannabis to keep legacy dealers out. He didn't give a fuck about justice. He moved with bribes and burned weed for photo ops. Bud narrowed his eyes. We play this smart. We make him move first. He slid a burner phone across the table to Bino. Set up a fake shipment tonight. OG Kush, heavyweight boxing. Drop it on Zaza Lane. Make it look sloppy. Let 'em take it. And when they do? Bino asked. Bud smiled. Then we know who been watching us, from inside. At sundown, two teenage runners, Lil Cap and Rillo Jr., hit the north border disguised as pizza boys. The fake box had a GPS tracker and a motion sensor camera inside. The weed? Just compressed lawn clippings sprayed with pine oil. Ghetto magic. The spot they used was risky. Keefe Hill, a known loud pack strip, full of lifted cars, stacked apartments, and dealers with gold fangs and skinny jeans. Bud watched from the rooftop of a burnt-out building 2 blocks away. Mary Jane beside him, her binoculars up, fitted cap turned backwards, Glock with a laser on her thigh. The box dropped. 10 minutes later, a sleek black SUV crept up. 2 masked men jumped out, scooped the decoy, and peeled off like it was prime Zaza. Mary Jane zoomed in. Got him. Bud checked his burner. The tracker buzzed. Headed to a trap apartment on Indica Row, apartment 4. Mary Jane narrowed her eyes. That's Coco's block. Coco was Bino's cousin, claimed loyalty. Ran a mid-tier flower spot called Blunt Temptations. She smiled sweet and sold sour, nothing special, but her crew always seemed too well informed. Bud's jaw flexed. We paid her rent 3 months straight. Now she's setting us up? Mary Jane holstered her piece. I'll knock. Apartment 4. B stunk of bad decisions and cheap incense. Coco opened the door in a silk robe and a smirk. Well, damn, if it ain't Bonnie and Clyde of the baggy era. Mary Jane walked in without asking. Her smile was made of blade edges. Where's the box? Coco blinked. Box? Bud stepped in behind her. The cush box we dropped on Zaza. Coco tried to play dumb, but Mary Jane already had the GPS on her phone. Signal ends here, sweetheart. That's when 2 dudes from the kitchen tried to rush. Bad idea. Mary Jane whipped the butt of her Glock into the first one's mouth. Teeth hit the tile like dice. Bud yanked the second up by his hoodie, slammed him into the stove, then shoved the hot burner against his neck till he squealed. Coco backed up, hands raised. Okay, I ain't know it was y'all, she screamed. Loud offered 10 stacks for any of Bud's boxes. I ain't know it was a setup. Bud wiped blood off his knuckles. That's the problem. You don't know shit, but you act like you plugged in. Mary Ann pulled out a razor. Want me to unplug her? Bud stared at Coco long. Nah, let her watch. Next time she hear our name in her lungs, she'll cough up blood. Coco fell to the floor sobbing. Bud spit on the stove. We moving on pack next. Mary Jane smiled. Loud gon' learn. You can't clone a king. Loud Pack sat back in his snakeskin recliner in the top floor of the Zaza Palace, eyes glued to a high-def camera feed showing the alley behind Sticky Greens. Bloody, busted up, yellow-taped, and still active. His lips curled as he sipped from a gold double cup filled with purple syrup and coconut ice. Next to him stood El Fume, his cartel connect from the Emerald Triangle, arms folded, shades on, silent and deadly. Behind them, music bumped low. Something West Coast, something slick. You sure they gon' fold like that? El Fume asked in a thick West Side drawl. Loud grinned. Bud too proud. That drop this morning? That was psychological. I wanted him to see how easy it is to crack his glass. El Fume squinted. He ain't cracked. He's calculating. Loud took another sip. He calculating dead weight. All them old head growers think this city still run on respect. But it's 2025. This shit run on flash followers and fake fire. Bud still talking strains and soil. I'm talking cartel-backed synthetic Loud with flavor cards and QR codes. El Fume smirked. You selling clout, he's selling religion. Exactly, Loud said. But I don't need a congregation. I need fiends. Just then, Slimy Mo busted through the double doors, sweating like he ran from karma. We got a problem, boss, Mo said. That Kush decoy? That was a setup. Box had a tracker. Bud traced it to Indica Row. Loud's eyes narrowed. Coco? He asked. Mo nodded. She ain't dead, but she talking like she wanna be. Loud slammed his cup down. Fucking amateurs. El Fum looked at Loud, deadpan. He's baiting you now. Loud leaned forward, eyes gleaming. Then it's time we snap that line. He stood up, slid a black duffel across the glass table. Load this up with bricks and burners, he said to Mo. Tonight, we torch the grow hole. Meanwhile, back at the grow hole, Bud was in his zone, draped in a black tank, sweat glistening as he measured pH balances, monitored root activity, and hand-snipped test colas from the one-hit-a-quitta line. Each plant was tagged V3.6A, THCA heavy, V3.6B, deep body knock, V3.6C, euphoric headshot, micro-dosing failure. Mary Jane walked in with 2 pre-rolls and an iced bottle of green tea. I lit up V3.6A, she said. It's a monster, hit harder than a child support letter. Bud chuckled. Still too dry on the finish. I don't care. That shit had me talking to my third eye and arguing with God. They sat together on the steel bench near the cloning shelf. You ever think about quitting this shit? Mary Jane asked, exhaling slow. Just pack it up, run a legal spot in Zaza Hills, live quiet. Bud nodded but didn't smile. I do. Then I remember. Ain't no peace for people like us. We either kings or corpses out here, and I ain't ready for no tombstone. Mary Jane kissed his shoulder. Good, 'cause I already picked your crown size. At 2:34 a.m., 2 SUVs slid down Doja Boulevard with their headlights off. Inside, 6 masked hitters, each strapped and dressed in black, reeking of gunpowder and hate. One of them popped the trunk and lifted out 2 tanks of gasoline. Another whispered, torch and go. No talking, no playing. This Bud Smoke's final harvest. They crept behind Blunt Money Pawn Shop, cracked the security panel, and moved like ghosts. What they didn't know was Bud already saw 'em coming. He watched 'em from the grow hole's feed. They here, he said, lighting a joint. Mary Jane cracked her neck. Took 'em long enough. Bud pressed a button on the wall. The lab lights went black. Red emergency strobes flickered. The grow hole became hell. In the main hallway, the first intruder tripped a pressure wire and caught a retractable blade through the thigh. He screamed, dropped his gas can, and bled out like a broken hydrant. The second stepped back and triggered a glass shatter trap. Shards fell from above like razor hail. Third one caught a slug to the gut. Mary Jane's Glock sang before he saw her move. By the time the fourth man tried to run, Bud was already behind him with a machete. He didn't speak, just swung, neck, gone. The final 2 turned, only to be met by Bino and 3 goonettes at the exit, masked up, straps out, flashbangs ready. In less than 3 minutes, the grow hole was red with bodies. Bud wiped blood from his blade with a grow cloth. They tried to light the lab, Mary Jane said, kicking a corpse over. Now they lit they own damn eulogies. Bud stood silent, then looked at the one-hit-a-quitta grow row. They almost touched my legacy. Mary Jane grabbed a blunt off the clone table. Then it's time, baby. Bud lit it from the flames, still licking the dead man's shoes. We taken back the North. The next morning smelled like gunpowder, gasoline, and jealousy. The city hadn't even rubbed the sleep out its eyes before the streets were buzzing. 4 dead in the grow hole, 2 burnt-out SUVs found in Grapetree Park, and a message left behind scorched into one of the bodies. We don't fake loud. That was Bud's way of signing it, not with initials, with energy. At the top of the resin strip, under the shadow of Trichome Towers, Bud and Mary Jane sat down with Ganja Ghost, an old-school grower for hire who moved like fog and only smoked joints dipped in moonrock wax. His eyes were always bloodshot. His hoodie always smelled like 4 decades of funk. I heard y'all kick death in the dick last night, Ghost muttered, puffing a long glass chillum. What you need from me? Bud leaned in. Blueprints. Loud packs grow ops. I know he got a second lab somewhere. We hit that. His synthetic line collapses. Ghost chuckled. Y'all trying to make this city go cold turkey overnight. Mary Jane lit her blunt. We trying to make Highgardens remember what real smoke tastes like. Ghost nodded. I'll get you what you need. But y'all gonna owe me a seed. One of them one-hit cues. Bud held out his hand. Bet. Ghost shook it. Give me 48 hours, and if I die before I send it, check under the greenhouse in Blunt Heights. Back in the Zaza Palace, Loud was losing his cool. He stormed through the hallway in silk boxers, no shirt, gold chains swinging like they was mad too. 4 bodies? He screamed. Y'all ain't even make it inside? What the fuck did I pay y'all for? Mo just shook his head. They knew we was coming. The place was rigged like a cartel tunnel. Loud grabbed a vase and smashed it on the floor. Bud Smoke think he a fucking superhero now? El Fum finally stood. You acting like a corner boy, not a boss. Loud turned, eyes wild. Say what? Fume took a step closer. You making noise instead of moves. Burning bodies don't scare Bud. He bleeds smoke. You want to win? You gotta corrupt the roots, not just torch the leaves. Loud clenched his fists, then calmed. You got a plan? Fume smirked. We infect the game. We put fake packs in circulation. We label it Bud's one hit quitta. We make it look like it killed a kid. Loud raised a brow. Frame the strain? Exactly. By the time sunset hit, packs were moving. Fume's crew dropped fake one-hitter strains laced with fentanyl-laced shatter through Crutchtown, a broke-ass part of Highgardens where loyalty could be bought for a bottle of promethazine. By midnight, 2 ODs hit the stream. A college freshman named Tyson and a mother of 2 named Diane. News spread fast. Hashtags exploded. Killer quitta. Bud Smoke out. Weed shouldn't kill. The trap blogs had a field day. Bud Smoke's legendary strain leaves 2 dead. Is one hitter a hit or a death sentence? Bud watched it all unfold from the warehouse couch in the back of Ziploc Temple, one of their Southside packing stations. His eyes didn't blink once. Mary Jane sat next to him, jaw tight. We ain't even dropped one hitter yet. Bud nodded. They manufactured a scandal. Bino kicked the steel trash bin over. We getting crucified for a strain that ain't even out? Nah, fuck that. We need to clap back on Cam. Bud raised a hand. No. Bino froze. No? Bud stood up slow and deliberate. You know what happens when people think you dead, he said. They get sloppy. He walked to the far end of the warehouse, opened a drawer, and pulled out a sealed glass jar. Inside, a fresh golden green nug of one Hitaquita V, 3.7. He held it to the light. It shimmered. Now we drop the real shit, Bud said, and we give the city a high they'll never forget. Mary Jane smirked. Time to baptize the block. The next day, the blessing dropped. Packaged in all-white Mylar bags with a gold-embossed logo, a fist holding a blunt, each one sealed with a message, weed heals. Clout kills. B. Smoke. By noon, long-ass lines stretched from dispensaries all over the South Side, and when people smoked it, they floated. Not high, transcendent, barbers started freestyling, grandmas started dancing, exes started apologizing, Highgardens was lifted. That night, Bud went live. Black tee, face clean, no chains, just his eyes and the blunt in his hand. What's real can't be framed. What's grown with love don't kill people. What kills people? Hate, greed, weakness. Y'all can try to smear me, burn my spots, kill my people. But I'm still here. Still rolling. Still smoking. Still leading. This city don't run on Zaza. It runs on roots. The live hit 1.6 million views. The hashtags flipped in 24 hours. Real smoke only. Bud blessed is, long live the grower. And somewhere in the shadows, Loud Pack smashed another TV screen. 2 days later, the city was buzzing on more than just Bud. Rumors said Bud Smoke had something new brewing, a pure strain, no gimmicks, no glitz, just smoke that cracked open your mind and healed your fucking soul. Meanwhile, Loud Pack was bleeding influence. Half his own cellars was ditching fake exotics to move real product again. Highgardens was shifting. But Bud wasn't celebrating, not yet. He and Mary Jane met Ghost that night in Blunt Heights behind an abandoned hydroponics shop. Ghost wore all black, hoodie pulled tight, with a USB drive hanging from a hemp chain. "It's all here," he said, blueprints, supply routes, lab locations, even Loud's cash stash house in Edible Alley. Mary Jane took the drive and smiled. "You a real one." Ghost shrugged. "I ain't loyal to y'all. I'm loyal to the leaf. And right now, y'all the only ones still respecting it." Bud nodded and handed him a sealed vacuum jar. Inside, the real one hit a quitta. Ghost lifted it, popped the lid, took one sniff, and his knees buckled. "Sweet mother of chlorophyll," he gasped. "You grew fucking truth," Bud smirked. "And I'm about to feed it to the whole city." The final mission came at midnight. Bud, Mary Jane, Beano, and 4 goonettes rolled out in a convoy of 3 unmarked black vans. Destination: Loud Pack's secret lab on Keefe Hill, disguised as a cold storage warehouse. Inside, chemical nightmares, fake terps, flavor cartridges, glue-infused resin, cheap trichomes, powdery mildew. Mary Jane almost gagged. "This ain't weed, this Frankenstein." Beano opened one of the fridges. "They got barcodes and glitter in here. This ain't smoke, this a scam." Bud didn't say nothing. He just pulled out a torch and nodded. The lab went up in flames, real smoke rising high above Keefe Hill. From across the block, Loud Pack watched it burn, his empire, his illusion, all of it, turn into ash. He screamed into the night, but the city cheered. By dawn, Bud was back at the grow hole. He sat alone by the main row of one hit quitta, eyes red, hands dirty, hoodie stained from the night. Marianne came in quiet, 2 cups of coffee in her hand. "Southside's quiet this morning," she said. "Too quiet," Bud replied. She smiled. "You finally got your piece." Bud stared at the plants. "No," he said. "I finally got their respect." Mary Jane leaned down, kissed him slow. "You earned it." He exhaled, the smoke curling through the grow lights like a crown. Outside in the city of strains, people were lighting up again, not in fear, but in celebration, because Bud Smoke was back. The king of real loud, the cultivator of chaos, the man who grew the streets back to life.